And we on that one, and we on that one. And we're on this one. Well, today I'm doing a podcast outside the studio today. Today I'm doing a podcast outside the studio today. And I'm really ready. Today we're doing the podcast outside the studio today. And today I'm really ready to get this started. There's a lot of things we were going to talk about, but we had a guest that was unable to show up. But the scenario behind the story is this. He worked for a trucking organization. We won't put the name of the trucking company out there right now. But the trucking company began to ask him to do several drops. After the drops kept coming back negative, they began to harass him on the job. They told him that he was unable to, what they were going to do was change his route around from the day to the nighttime, and he was not having it. And he kept going to the job, and they finally called the police on him to try to get him off messed up. But he dealt with that real professionally. He didn't get upset. He made no threats. He used his powers of thought and words, and he dealt with that exactly the way that he was supposed to. And now they're trying to deal with some litigation in court to make things work to his betterment. And this company is an Iowa-based company. And like I said in one of my other videos, there are 99 counties in Iowa, and only 3 of them went for the Democratic ticket. That leaves us 96 that's going to try and bring some problems, excuse me, for anybody that they may be employed by. So we need to communicate with all the people that unity is our only key to success. We need to unify, rebuild, and not too much depend on what they're going to put down on paper, because everything that they put their lives and livelihood on has been written on paper. And I'm talking about the Constitution, which did not include us. And as of today, it's still, regardless to all the things that have been written down, regardless to all the amendments, they are going strictly for the Constitution being for them and not for us. So we might as well stop looking at that and begin to make some changes in the Republican Party as well as in the Democratic Party. All those people who we can vote into office, we need to start voting them into office. And those people that are not for us, we need to start voting them out of office. This administration was put into effect simply because people of color united and came out and we won the ticket. And even then, the administration that was in power at that time was saying that everything was a steal. Stop the steal. That's what we have to do as people of color. We have to prepare so that the next election will be so overwhelming that there'll be no possible way that they can refute the victory. So we're here today to talk about a few things, and those were one of them. We're going to top some things off about the many times that the police department have murdered blacks and people of color, male and female. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And my colleague here, Mr. Robinson, has a few things that he wanted to say. And we've got enough time to where we can both speak for a while. We were going to have, like I said, another person here to tell their story, and we were going to try and do a 15-minute 20-minute conversation about the things we think we need to put out there. And again, we're trying to go into our businesses and do some things with those so that maybe we can employ some people and help some other people figure out how that they can better live their lives. I was listening to a program, and the program was talking about Hebrew Jew Israelites. And, you know, that's a good thing to know if that's what you want to tell people that you are and that they are. But we have to have some type of example, some type of scale to follow. And I'd like to just think about how many Muslims were changed over in the early mid-60s because they had something to offer. And you know, when we look at the Bible, we can see that our Lord and Savior, wherever he was, where there were a multitude of people, he did something. He took care of whatever the need was that they had at that time. And then that need was promoted. As long as they followed him, things got better for them. The Muslims came out with a narrative very much similar to that. They offered jobs. They offered businesses. They offered people where they could progress if they became Muslims. Now, it's a good thing to be able to know that you are a Hebrew Jew Israelite. But then what's the advantage of knowing that if it's not going to be productive for everybody? So I too believe we are the lost people. We are those tribes of Israel. But now let's be realistic. And if that's who I am, and I am God's chosen people, if we come together, what is that going to mean? It should mean prosperity for us. It should mean when we do the will of God's word, what he tells us to do, we would have prosperity. But don't tell people that they are something that they are, and then you don't have no real solid way to convince them. And you talk about Jesus Christ and how he did it. The fish and the loaves. You know, the miracles that he did. He got people to follow him because there was some prosperity going on about him. It's hard to get people to follow you when all you talk about is who the people are and what they need to do. If you know all of that and you know what they need to do, then you should be out there telling them exactly what they need to do. And what we need to do as a nation of people of color is to unite like the example was given us when Martin Luther King united. All the way back to sitting on the back of the bus when they united. All the way back to even further than that when we united. And every time we unite, people follow us and we get things done. We need to go and have a mind of community. And that's what the Muslims brought in to the communities that they built, was this is our community. It takes a village to raise the children. And we've let these people tell us what we can and cannot do to our own kids for worry of penalty for a kid saying that they got a whooping, and then here come a bunch of white folks and some black folks into your house to tell you how to raise your family. And that's exactly what's wrong, and that kind of stuff needs to stop, because we know our children just like they know their children. We know when they need to be reprimanded, however it is we reprimand them, and that should be left up to us. Nobody should be telling anybody how to raise their kids. Raise your own kids the way you want to raise them, but don't tell me how to raise mine. And we got to go back to that community where if your child go out in the community, somebody see him doing something wrong, they can say, hey, I know your daddy's and I'm going to tell him on you. Or I know your mama, and I'm going to tell him on you. Or as an adult, hey kids, y'all shouldn't be throwing rocks at cars, and y'all shouldn't be doing the things y'all shouldn't be doing. And as children being addressed by an older person, they should respect that and stop doing whatever it is they doing that's wrong, if it's wrong. Now, if they out there having fun, ain't nobody got no business bothering them and telling them nothing. Playing their music loud, ain't nobody got no business telling them nothing. But we as black people need to unify. We as people of color need to continue to unify, like the examples that we saw, the few that I mentioned. And then here in 2021, what happened in Georgia? We unified and we turned a red state blue. We need to continue to do that again. We need to get some mayors. We need to get some people that's up, in the higher levels of law enforcement. We need to get people in there that know that we need protection just like everybody else. That we are just like everybody else. So it's not too much more I can say, but it is a whole lot more I can say. Not too much more I can say about those topics, but there are other topics that we're going to cover in a few minutes. Now that timing is exactly 11 minutes and a few seconds. So now, Mr. Robinson, if you got something to say, this is where you can say what it is you need to say to the people. And we're going to post this. Y'all be looking for it on Facebook as well, and YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and all the other social medias.
I don't got too much to say today. Basically, to reiterate what Mr. Hill was actually elaborating on, I want to go ahead and elaborate on that same topic, which is revolves around the Constitution. Me and Mr. Hill, we always discuss many things, and one of the things we discussed in the past was the Constitution wasn't really written in a sense of benefiting black people. It was written in the sense of, how can I say it, for white people. I mean, ain't no other way around it. It was written for white people in the sense of they already knew their way around how to build wealth. Black people was uneducated in the sense of we did not know how to build that wealth because that's what they kept from us. Those are the things that we eventually had to learn around, and that was after Jim Crow. That was after, the whole segregation thing, when they actually gave us an opportunity as black folks to learn, the Commonwealth, how to build wealth and how to get involved into real estate, to know how to build credit, how to, own something. We literally, just in the first century have gotten the ability and how can I say it? I'm lost for words today. It's been a long, slow day, but just in general, black folks wasn't able to get the education on figuring out how to, like I say, build wealth. We wasn't, on the first train smoking to, the steps on how to teach our kids, how to, not teach it, but, show our kids, step by step on creating wealth for their grandchildren and their children. White people had that set aside for themselves. And for that, that's facts. You know, as much as you know, a lot of people don't want to believe certain facts about history that degraded and did not allow certain black people to excel as certain white people. Is mind boggling because the truth and the statistic and the facts are written in our history and subliminally through our Constitution if you read between the lines, obviously. But yeah, even our history up to date, you know, is to the point that it doesn't narrow down to the to what was taken away before all of the Marshalls and the Walmarts. You understand? Before all of these designers and these high end designers and these restaurants and these big time supermarkets that's owned by these white people, you know, before all of that, you know, it was best believe it was somebody that was grinding and most of the inventions and most of the ideas that these big supermarkets and these big, you know, trademarks and high-end trademarks come from, you know, it always narrowed down to someone that was a slave, you know what I'm saying? Or that was owned by somebody that owned the plantation, you know what I'm saying? And worked for that person in the sense of a slave during that time under that plantation. Now, don't get me wrong. My history, every time I read about, you know, the real history and what happened to not only just, you know, the black folks, you know, the Indians, you know what I'm saying? Yes, it gives me goosebumps to realize that everything that we ever even came up with was actually taken from us and actually sold back to us. You know, and
what you mean something like the cotton gin
exactly
that was made by somebody who worked the field, and then the white people took that and ran away with that. A couple of other things too we could just throw out there. But the idea is we all have struggled in this country to make this country what it is. We all have contributed to this country to make this country what it is, yet they don't want to let us be who we are.
No, and being who we are, living in the United States, require us as a requirement to have freedom of speech and live in the land of the free. And
don't feel like it, do it.
Since I've been born, it really doesn't seem like it's a state that requires or that requires you to do certain things. It's certain restrictions when living in the United States. You know, it doesn't really, the United States doesn't really mean what they say when it comes down to the home of the land of the free. That doesn't really mean that you free, because there's certain restrictions on what you can say. You know, there's no real such thing as a freedom of speech when it comes down to, you know, certain things that they allow you to say, you know, on a public platform. You understand what I'm saying? You know, because even nowadays, you know, you got certain categories. That's what I'm gonna use. You got certain categories that's real sensitive, you know, when it comes down to what or how we express our opinions on certain categories.
And all those categories are sensitive, because I know what you're talking about. You're talking about, like, you know, we got to be careful about the freedom of speech when we talking about LGBTQ. Mm-hmm. We got to be careful of freedom of speech when we talk about the president or the king of the nation or whatever you want to call it. We got to be careful about what we say, even about anything, because black people of color in the United States don't have that freedom. We don't have that freedom to where we're just concerned, not so much afraid or worried, but we're always concerned when we go out how things are gonna happen on our daily routine. Well, why should we have to walk around on eggshells when everybody else is busting up eggs coming and going? But people of color, we just don't ever get those same breaks. We don't get those same, and even when we branch out like we did in the making of the Black Wall Street, when we branched out like that, they still destroyed everything. They take from us and they don't give back. They want us to always give, but we cannot get. And that's not right, and that's not fair. I talked about talking about police brutality. And we actually need to call it what it is, because it's murder committed by the police. It's murder committed by the police. And you can't help but know that it's murder, especially these days when we got so many cameras out there watching them. We got the news media telling it for once like it is. We got people out there protesting, and that's the only way to get something done. And two, we wanted to talk a little bit about that thing that's going on in the Capitol. Not just the murders that are happening out here in the street by the police, but what's going on at the Capitol when those people went out there and destroyed the Capitol. They had a newsreel out today about what people of color, actually it said, what do Black Americans have to say about what happened at the Capitol? And all Black Americans agree with what I'm about to say, that if it had been a bunch of Black people out there doing that, there would have been a bunch of dead Black people out there. Period. But the privileged people who are under the Constitution as the children of the people who wrote the Constitution, they run it. They own everything. They can go out there and do that. They can have their hand on a gun and tell the police officer to step off. We better not act like no stuff like that, or he'll call 72 other police officers out there, and all of them empty their guns out on you. We need to talk about all of that. I believe in the year 2013 to 2014, I may be a little bit wrong about those years. However, the 2013-2014 count for dead women killed by police was 250. Now, if that's not too many, please don't let it get no higher. And I got something on my cell phone that talks about how many murders that were committed by certain police departments. New York, Chicago, Dallas, Philly. Every police department practically in the 50 states practically have killed someone of color. Someone of color. Shot them dead. Emptied their gun on them and reloaded and shot them some more. If that ain't overkill, I don't know what it is. People got their knees on people's necks George Floyd was in here as well as one of the ones that was murdered by the police. The Parish Sheriff Department, the Milwaukee Police Department, Texas, Northern Mall security guards have even killed black people. Now, all these black people that were killed by the police, it doesn't tell me on these lists why the police killed them. The fact of the matter is that they are all black that got killed. Doesn't matter so much as to what it was that they did. According to this law, it matters, but the law that the people broke in killing them was just as bad as the law that they broke. And some of them didn't even break laws worth shooting them for, but they still shot them. Let's see. Physical restraint, brute force on this young person in 2014. November of 2014. August of 14, the Bernardino County Sheriff deputies killed somebody. Baltimore City Police. The sheriff departments, they get in on that too. New York City, New Orleans, Alachua County Sheriff Department, that's in Florida. Security guards again shot somebody in Dayton, Ohio and killed them. People, this has got to stop. But it's not going to stop until we unite and stop it. I don't care what they put on paper. Until we unite to stop this, it's not going to stop. And the best way for us to stop it is get out there when it's time to vote. Know who you're voting for. Know who you're voting for. Let's do it. Turn all the red states blue.
No more Republicans.
No more Republicans, because that's what they want. They don't want no more Democrats. They barely don't even want Republicans. So you know they don't want Democrats. So we as Democrats need to get together, stand tall, know who we voting for, put the right people where we need to put them, and okay, maybe we can get a little liberty here. Maybe I can go and borrow me some money so I can get a business going or something. I don't know. But how about we try it? How about all the rich white folks and the rich black folks that want to be around black folks? Come on, put some money together and let's get it going. And I'm not talking about to Africa. Let's take this. Let's take this from them, like they took it from the Native Americans, and then we can give some of this, all this, if not all of it, back to the Native Americans, and they can handle this business. You feel me? All right? And let's send them back to where they came from. They want to go to Australia, where that place that he was trying to buy. They want to go to Switzerland. Let them go to Switzerland. They want to go back to Ireland. Let them go back to Ireland. They come from other places just like everybody else. So how about we take over like we know we can and just do it? Bang them. Let's get some ships. We can get some ships and send them back to where they came from. Ooh, I shouldn't have said all that. But I'm glad I did. And if I could think of some more, I'm going to say some more. Let me think for a minute. Can I get a minute? I'm going to say some more. Talk about we need to go back to Africa. Because Africa is where we all came from. Actually. You could take 30 of these nations and stick them into Africa, and we still have enough room for a black continent. So let's do that. Let's everybody go back to where they came from, and I'm sure the Native Americans is gonna listen to this video, because they're gonna be like, yep, y'all can take that oil and that all that other stuff that y'all done ruined this country with,
natural
and
resources.
get on up out of here. Catch a horse, take a stage, go back the same way you came, but take a stage or a wagon with some horses, covered blanket, and get on back on them boats you came off of, and take your crusty butts back to where you came from. And I'm sure the Indians would want us to stay, because we productive and we people of color, and we ain't trying to sell them no casino so they can take each other's money. We ain't on that. We don't want the Indians to have no casino. That's bad for Indians. We don't want them with the liquor that they gave them. That's bad for Indians. Remember when they gave all the Indians them blankets filled with cholera or whatever that was? Tick whizzle or whatever, izzle kizzle, whatever it was, it kills 1,000 Indians every day. 1,000 every day. They did it on purpose. So who wants to be around a bunch of people that'll do a bunch of other people like that? Y'all some savages and you call other people savages. Y'all monsters and you call other people monsters. Y'all haters and you call other people haters. Y'all make me sick. And if I could, I'd go up in the sky and I'd throw up on all y'all. Just rain down throw up everywhere. Yeah, like that. Don't make me get ugly. Well, that's 31 minutes and 47 seconds of conversation. And trust me, I could go on with all the stuff that's been happening over the 400 years since we've been here. I could go on for another 400 years. Talking about all the stuff y'all done did to us. And y'all want us to be nice. One other thing before I go. All you black people out there that's hating black people and hurting them, whew, there will be a foot up your butt. And you will not be able to crap ever again. So take that and like that. If you hate black folks and you black, excuse me, but that's all you get. Brother Robinson, anything else you'd like to say?
Nope. At this point in time, I would like to conclude and try to let everybody know to keep sane. 2020 took us and taught us a lot, showed us a lot. And with that being said, and obviously what Mr. Hill was trying to preach to us, stay safe, stay sane, and keep hope up. You know, don't give up.
Keep hope alive. Peace out. Twice.